Talking Sex Live with Chet and Diane is recorded in front of a live audience. This show is for mature audiences only. Hello, you are Talking Sex Live with Chet and Diane. I am Chet Hart.
I'm Diane Hart.
And we are unlicensed sex therapists. We are a couple who has a lot of sex, and we like to share our knowledge with the world by people who call in and ask us questions. And we are streaming live right now to Caffeine, and also we are recording for YouTube and also other podcast hosting services. So we are joined by Dr. Bexxx, who has been out for a while. How are you doing today, Dr. Bexxx?
I'm great. Thanks for having me back.
Yeah, it has been a while. It's great that you were that you're on the show again. We've missed you. I remember last time you were on, you challenged us to have no sex for what, a week?
A week.
We are happy to say we went 5 days. Is that okay?
But I gave him two handies.
Two handies. Is that okay?
I mean, how did you guys feel about that?
Well, I mean,
he gets irritable if he doesn't.
Well, I'm not like mean. It's just, it's just small things like can bother you, that sort of situation. But I don't know. It's not like I was fine with it. It took us a chance to like connect and to actually like just find other things to do other than having sex. I don't know what would you what are your thoughts on that, Dr. Bexxx?
Well, I mean, the goal of this exercise was by no means to punish you.
Yes, it was.
No, it wasn't that. It was to do what you just said. It's to connect. It's for you to do something besides sex and find a way of connecting, with your clothes on. And hopefully it deepens your relationship. You might learn something new about each other. And not always rely on sex for when you're like bored or want to connect. You can connect by talking or watching something or eating or cooking together. Like you could still do sexual things together that doesn't have to be sex in order to connect.
Like intercourse. I mean, that's so we're saying that you can do other things other than intercourse that's still sexual and connect through that?
No, I meant more like eating food together or feeding each other. Like that idea of sexual pleasure without it being sex. It could still be dancing.
Dancing is super sexy.
Standing up with your clothes on.
Got it. Well, you look great as always. Thanks again for being on, and just want to let everybody know that we have Wells back after being gone for the last show. How are you doing today, Wells? Whoa!
What up, everybody?
Wells, you're going naked, huh?
Did you get did you go blind?
No.
Okay.
Got my mojo back.
What? Wait, back? I didn't know you had mojo to begin with.
I got a lot of mojo.
Oh, okay. All right.
Keeping out of all my pores right now.
You look great. What happened to make this huge turn? I mean, definitely sexy. Some Terminator like vibes there.
Well, I briefly had a very willing and enthusiastic sexual partner.
Oh wow! So briefly, so you don't have this sexual partner anymore?
No, it ended kind of badly.
Oh, I'm sorry. What happened?
One afternoon, she booty called me to come over in the middle of the day.
Oh wow! Wells is getting booty
and I
calls.
told her. I laid it out. I told her what time I was going to need to leave because I had to go to work, had to produce something that evening. And so we had sex. And then 2 minutes before I had to go, she brought up the "what are we" conversation.
Oh, that conversation.
Like
that comes
what
up
are you
eventually.
looking for?
Yeah.
And I didn't want to string her along. So I just told her, I wish that we could have had a nuanced discussion about how I felt about her and how I had felt about the past 3 weeks, but because I had to button up and leave there, I had to just give the Cliff Notes version, which was that I if she was looking for a serious boyfriend or a husband, that wasn't me.
Wow. Look at you stepping up. Wow.
yeah, I laid it out, and she seemed kind of shell shocked. I was a little surprised that she was shell shocked. The way that she brought it up was like, she was like, "Hey, you know how the other day we were talking about how you're really emotionally unavailable?" And I was like, "Yeah."
Wow.
What? And she was like, "So what are you looking for on Hinge?" And I was like, "Oh no." So anyway, the next day she texted me telling me she was no longer interested in seeing all of this.
No,
And
it's her loss. It really is.
but yeah, still got my mojo back.
Well, that's great. I'm glad that you found it. I'm glad that you have turned a corner, and hopefully your time with us has helped you out. It's interesting when I've been in some of those situations where, and I think Diane has too, where you tell your partner like, "Look, this is just physical, and like I'm not looking for anything emotionally connecting right now," and then it doesn't matter how many times you say that. I feel like eventually someone's going to be like, "Hey, what's going on?
Yeah.
I have feelings for you." And it just doesn't end well. I haven't found any situations where it just.
I'm still friends with a few of my ex-female lovers.
Yeah, and that's great because she
I
brings
don't
them over
know. I
sometimes.
think that telling someone that you have feelings for them never has a happy ending, really.
Well,
In the end.
I mean, that's how I landed Diane. I mean, I guess it depends if you both
But
have
like
feelings for
one
each
of
other.
you will die someday, and then the other will be left alone.
Well, that's just life,
You know?
man. That's just life. Dr. Bex, what do you
Exactly.
think about the situation?
Well, first of all, I think it's great that you got your mojo back, and I think it's great that you were able to communicate that to this girl. I feel like she kind of put you in the corner where she knew you had to leave, and so
Right?
she dropped a bomb on you, which wasn't very fair because no matter what you would have said, you didn't have enough time to express what you were feeling.
Exactly.
But you were able to say what you wanted, and you didn't string her along. So I think that's great. And after 3 weeks, like that's a little soon to be talking what are we, unless you guys have had more of a relationship than just sex. Like if you had gone on dates and if you had like wooed her or like had those late night conversations and all the texting all the time, if you had more of an emotional relationship, then I could understand why if she was like what are we. But if it was just sex, then it sounds like she might have thought more about what you guys were than what you did.
Well, Dr. Bex, that touches on something that I've been thinking about, which is like, I feel like most women get treated like shit by most of the men that they date. So if you're just like a decent person, that even that can send the wrong message. Because like one day she was injured, she came over to my place. I gave her ice to ice her injury, gave her ibuprofen, I cooked her a nice meal, and I feel like even that
Just
may
simply
have
being a
given
nice
her
guy. Yeah.
the wrong impression. I don't know.
Well, the same thing goes for females. If they're nice to guys, guys automatically think that they're into them.
I get that a lot.
Yeah. So, but sorry, Dr. Bex, what were you going to say?
Well, no, I feel like if it's in your nature to be like that and act like that towards someone, then there's nothing wrong with it. You know, it's not like she hurt herself and you're like, how do I get laid?
Yes.
Let me get her ibuprofen. And, like you generally cared about her feeling better. There's nothing wrong with that, you know, and it can be like what Chet said, like girls do that too. You know, it's not about being a nice guy or a nice girl. We're just compassionate human beings. But there are a lot of assholes out there and there are a lot of bitches out there that aren't compassionate. And so it is kind of a dilemma where if you are just compassionate, you are going to fall into a situation where maybe someone is going to have stronger feelings than you are. But that's just, I mean, you can't stop being a compassionate human being.
Yeah, you got to keep being nice to people.
You got to keep doing that because if it's in your nature, you can't stop.
Yeah.
Yeah.
That was a good conversation. Do we have any callers coming in there?
We have a caller. We have Gene from Baltimore, Maryland, who is a parent, and he's not understanding all the designations that people use to describe their gender and their sexuality.
Oh, okay. So like he, she, them, they. Yeah. Hello, you're talking Sex Live with Chet and Diane. I am Chet.
I'm Diane.
And is this Gene?
Yeah. Hello?
Hello.
Can you hear me?
Yeah, we can hear you great.
Hello?
Hello. You sound.
Hello? Hi.
Hello.
Yeah, Chet, Diane, I love, I love watching you, like tuning in every week. Gene, I mean, Chet.
That's all right.
You're kind of a hero of mine.
You're nervous.
You
That's
know,
great. Thank you.
Well, yeah. There's a, I got this. I have a daughter. I have a daughter.
Mm-hmm.
I have a daughter who, when she was born wrong gender apparently,
Mm-hmm.
and and we've had our problems, and we're trying to get through this, and I'm trying to be understanding, and so my daughter, she told me, when she realized that she was a she and not a he, she was a daughter, and I accepted that. I accepted that she was my daughter, and I love her. I gotta let you know, Chet and Diane, my wife Michelle and I, we love her so much, and we don't want to get this wrong. So we're trying really hard.
Got it.
And so my daughter, I thought maybe she can still find someone, and she'll be happy, and that's all we want. That's all we want for her.
Mm-hmm.
So I thought my daughter would be attracted to men.
Mm-hmm.
And so last week she was trying to explain to me that she's pansexual.
Mm-hmm.
And that's not even a letter on the scale.
Well, pan just means that you're
attracted to everybody.
Attracted to anybody. It could be male, female, or non-binary. People who don't identify as any gender. Trans.
There's people that don't identify as any gender?
Yeah, yeah. So it's called non-binary. So I'm cisgender. Diane's also cisgender. Your daughter is transgender, meaning that there's a different sex living inside of the opposite body.
I understand that part.
Then there's people who have a male or female body, but they don't feel like they identify as either male nor female. And so the non-binary individuals choose to use pronouns such as them and they instead of him or he or she or her. It's so if you're not used to it, it can be a little confusing to try to talk to someone who uses them or they. And also knowing somebody for a while who you identified as a male, and then she said that she was female. It's difficult for someone to acknowledge, to switch your pronouns over, but it's it's not something to get angry about. It's just, if you're wrong if you make a mistake, just like, I'm learning, I'm sorry, and then just move on. It's the same person. It's always the same person. Who we are always the same. It doesn't matter what our gender or our sexuality is. We're all people here on this great earth of us. So, so specifically, what do you need us to help you with, there, my friend?
Oh, well, I just don't want to say anything or do anything wrong, because it's just so confusing to my wife and I. I grew up in a different time.
Yeah.
I wasn't able to talk to my parents, and I don't want that to happen with me and my daughter. And so we're just trying to do it right. And I don't understand. So she's pansexual, but sometimes in the matter of conversation, she'll say, Dad, a queer person like myself. So now I don't understand. Is she queer or is she pansexual? Queer, what's the difference?
Queer just means that your sexuality is just different. And correct me if I'm wrong, Dr. Bexxx, is that correct?
Yeah, it just means that you're not heterosexual.
Yeah. So I know that the LGBTQ plus acronym keeps getting larger, but it's just trying to cover all bases for anyone who's not heterosexual, basically. So. So you're trying to understand what pansexual is? Is that
well, not just
question?
that. I just, like I said, like I said, I just don't want to get things wrong when I'm speaking with my daughter. Like so sometimes when I'm reading things, you know, some things list the T in the LGBTQ plus. They list the T as transsexual, but some other places list it as transgender.
Yeah.
And I mean, it's my understanding that they're interchangeable. I mean, am I getting that wrong? Is that right?
It's more about, as time kind of goes on, we're trying to figure out what terms are the least offensive. Before even transsexual or transgendered came out, I mean, there was male and female imposter, which just sounds completely it makes me cringe when I hear that word, but it pops up in legal documents sometime, and it's just like, whoa, God, that's awful. Like, I mean, to be called a male imposter is just like, it seems very demeaning. But as time goes on, we were trying to figure out what the best term that people want to be. I mean, I guess it's difficult. Nobody wants to be labeled as anything, and definitely people don't want to be labeled negatively. And so it's just trying to find an opening, inclusive, accepting type of set of terminology that people are comfortable with. And so we don't say sex change anymore. It's now gender reassignment surgery, and and there's also different levels of that. If your daughter wants to have the more basic term is top surgery, where basically she gets female implants. Has she already started to go through hormone therapy? Has she had therapy with a counselor and whatnot? There's a lot of steps that trans children go through.
Yeah. We're finding that out. I mean, she's a teenager, so she's not like, I mean, you know, she's growing up. She's growing up. You
That's
know?
all right.
We're just trying to feel our way through it.
Yeah, I have a good friend who found out his daughter was trans when she was about 5 or 6, and so
I have a cousin who's trans.
Yeah, and so some people take a while to figure it out. Some people know their whole life and are scared to try and come out with this. Everyone has their own journey and their own thoughts on it. And I mean, Dr. Bexxx, do you have any input on this at all?
Yeah, Jean, what is your daughter's name?
My daughter's name now is Cynthia.
Okay, so
Cynthia.
Cynthia. So you know what? You don't need to worry about labels, or if she's pan, if she's bi, if she's queer, if she's trans. Call her Cynthia. I think that's the name that you should use to address her. And I think you're already taking the steps to be a good father, because you have accepted her, and you know you're trying to understand. And it's very confusing, and it's completely understandable that you're confused and you're gonna mess up. You're going to say the wrong thing, but it sounds like you have a good relationship with your daughter, and you're able to communicate that, like, oops, you know, I messed up, or I said the wrong pronoun, or I'm still learning, and that's fine. And I would encourage you to keep learning. I would encourage you to Google things, to read articles, to watch movies about transgender, and just get an idea, because for as confused as you are, she is so confused also, and has spent so many years of her life being confused, and she's just now taking a step forward in like understanding who she is and becoming the woman that she was born as. So I think you're doing all the right things, and you should just call her Cynthia.
Cynthia.
Thank you, Doc. I appreciate it. But what I'm getting from you and Chet and Diane is that these things might change. So you know, just we're all learning. We're all figuring it out.
Yeah.
And so, okay. So for now, I just go with the flow.
That's right.
Yeah, and if it helps, you know, think of it like your daughter, she's not attracted to him or her. She's attracted to souls, you know? She doesn't see sexuality. She just sees a soul. And that's what she's attracted to, which, like, we should all just be attracted to souls. Like, what a better world we would live in if we just saw people's soul and fell in love with that.
That's right.
I hear you. Well, thank you very much. Thank you very much for taking my call. I really appreciate it. I know it's not about some of the fun stuff that you guys talk about, but
That's all right.
you're the only people I know that really talk about this stuff.
Oh yeah, we'll
I don't really like to Google too much.
Yeah, I mean, there's some biased opinions out on the web, but there is some. There are support groups out there if you really do feel like you're confused, or if you just need some help. You can see a counselor on your own, like Dr. Bexxx, that can guide you through these things. I'm sure if Cynthia is going through hormone therapy, or if she is going through talk therapy, then there's probably some resources at the doctor's office that goes. There's a number of hospitals and programs that have the whole program in place for teens and children who are transitioning. So if you want to go ahead and check that out wherever she is going to see her hormones therapist, specialist, or any other doctor, then they can help you out as well. So,
Okay, thanks a lot, guys. Bye-bye.
no problem, Gene. Have a good night. So, Wells, you were a little quiet on that one. Do you have any thoughts at all, or?
Yeah, I didn't have too much to add.
Yeah.
Did you know the Matrix is an allegory for being trans?
I did not know that. I thought it was an allegory for Jesus.
No, although Neo is a messianic figure, like taking the red pill is actually taking estrogen.
Ooh.
The reason that Agent Smith always emphasizes Mr. Anderson is because he's trying to like trap him into a male's world.
Oh wow.
Yeah, that's why I always emphasize that. There's you should look it up.
Okay.
There's various little nuggets in there.
Did the writers intend that, or?
Yeah, the writers are both trans women, so they were men when they wrote it.
Oh,
Wow, I did not know that.
Awesome.
Interesting.
I am
Wow.
going to rewatch it.
Wow.
Yeah.
Interesting.
Yeah.
So that went a while. But that's very important, and also it's Pride Month, so it's a good question to have during Pride Month there. So we got some emails from some people who called in, or people who watch, our viewers. They wrote us emails, some questions at talkinsexlive@gmail.com. If you have your own question, then you can go ahead and you can go ahead and email us through that email address, and we go ahead and answer that. But I think we'll get to that after our next caller. Do we have anybody else calling in right now there, Wells?
Yeah, we have a Tim, and he is scared to hook up post-pandemic. I guess we'll find out why.
Oh, interesting. Hello, you are Talking Sex Live with Chet and Diane. I am Chet.
I'm Diane.
And is this Tim?
Hey, yeah, can you hear me? Can you hear me
yes,
okay?
I can hear you
Yeah,
okay.
loud and clear. That's really nice. Yes. How are you doing tonight, Tim?
I'm doing okay. Hey, is that one guy, like, he looks like he's naked on there? Well,
Oh, you're watching. Yeah, that's Wells. That's our producer. He found his mojo, and he just decided to do the show without a shirt on. So good for him.
Yep.
Yeah, it is very sexy Wells. Usually he's very timid and just kind of was from a very religious
upbringing.
Yeah, he couldn't exactly express himself sexually, and I guess we kind of broke his cherry. Is that right, Wells?
Well, I mean, technically, a woman who descended from Persian royalty popped my most recent cherry.
Oh,
but
wow.
I'm sure it didn't help to work here.
Well, that's all right. Oh,
I got my shirt on. Is that okay?
yeah, that's fine. That's
fine.
good for you,
Yeah.
Tim. You do what you want to do with whatever's comfortable. So you are scared of trying to date or to hook up now that the pandemic is winding down. Is that correct?
Yeah, I mean, I've been like really like super good throughout all this, okay?
Mm-hmm.
You know, I've been like not going out, and I like used the Postmates all the time, and just, you know, being respectful, putting a mask on like when I when I like walk down to get my mail, just all sorts of stuff, that I'm trying to do. And now like we can go out in the world, but I find myself, it's like the prospect of like actually having any sort of, intimate contact with somebody else is like, whoa, what if they have COVID,
Yeah. Well,
what if I get COVID?
are
And then
you?
I start thinking about all the other diseases you can get, and it's like
Yeah.
weirded me out. And then, well, there's other stuff, but that's kind of where I'm at. So it's like, is that normal? Is that not
Oh
normal? How's
yeah.
this gonna work? I
Of
don't
course.
know.
Are you vaccinated? I guess that's step one to kind
I'm
of.
fully
Oh,
vaxxed.
okay.
Okay,
So
you
I'm
should
like,
be okay.
yeah, you shouldn't really worry much if you're fully
well,
vaccinated.
there's that chance, you read about like there was some guy I read, and like he was vaccinated and he still died.
Yeah, well, I mean, it's not 100% accurate. There's always going to be variants in different situations where the vaccine doesn't work. So, I mean, it's the same thing of like, oh, if I walk down the street, I still have a chance of getting hit by a bus or a car, a car
Oh
running
crap!
out.
I hadn't even thought
Oh
about that.
God, now I'm
Oh,
gonna
now
scare
you
you
put it
from
in his
walking
Oh
down the
wait, I
side.
could get hit by a bus when
Yes.
I'm going to like to a date or
That's
something,
right. But like you can't live your life in fear. You gotta carpe diem. You gotta seize the
There's
day.
a really good book out. It's an older book. Feel the fear and do it anyway.
Yeah. Who's that by there, Diane?
I want to say Susan. Her first name's Susan. I can't remember her last name
I don't
though.
know. Messing.
Susan Lucci,
No, I don't
Collins?
think it's Lucci.
Susan
because she
Jeffers.
would like know about
Yeah,
that. 'cause
Wells
she-
has it.
What was that? Wells?
Susan Jeffers.
Jeffers. Okay.
So it's just, I don't know, it's kind of scary. And plus, like, okay, I haven't been like the best about exercising during the pandemic either. And like all of us, I've been, there's I got all this food stocked up in case something happens, and then I eat it. So like, that's another kind of aspect of this too. It's like I'm not at my best,
Well,
and
I feel like what, everyone is in your situation right now. There's some people who have been working out, but the majority of people haven't been upkeeping their body.
but your
Their
producer,
hygiene.
obviously, he must be if he's got like his shirt off.
Yeah,
Right?
well, Wells, he's
works
been
out.
working out quite a bit. So, and he's been coaching himself through some, some tough times that he's trying to work himself through. Wells, what's your regimen? What's your workout?
Do a 4-day split, 2 lower body, 2 upper body.
Oh wow!
A lot of squats, a lot of deadlifts.
Definitely don't skip leg day. So I'm sad that we don't get to see your legs in this feed right now. We just see about deltoid up. There's not even a pec showing right now. So
Not even a nipple.
No.
It's very demure.
yeah, you got some good skin there. My body's full of freckles and things that are just like that could be cancerous, but and also very hairless.
Oh, wait a minute. Those freckles can be cancer?
Don't. Oh God, I'm so sorry there,
Oh,
Tim.
man. Oh, no. Okay, because I got this freckle that's, and it's on my back. I can't see it.
Yeah, those are the worst right there because you don't know if it changes or not.
Because they're probably cancer
It
right
could,
now.
well, you just go see a doctor, and the doctor will probably be like, "Yep, that's typical. It's not a big deal." Dr. Bexxx, what can you go ahead and recommend to Tim here to kind of calm himself and to start seeing people?
Well, Tim, it sounds like to me that you have a lot of anxiety, and not just about the post-COVID world, but about a lot of things, and I just want you to know that after spending over a year inside and not dating, it can be intimidating to go back out there in the world.
Yeah.
And there are people that are jumping in, hugging, kissing, all for it. But the majority of the people are taking baby steps. And there's a lot of anxiety behind this because we're mourning the end of this era that was COVID. And we have to kind of re-enter society again. And a lot of us have forgotten how to do that. Like we forgot how to be social. We forgot how to date. And so you should first and foremost know that there's no pressure, that you should take this at your own pace. and you should take the baby steps with this, because there's no right way to date at the end of a pandemic. Like, I don't know what they did in 1918. I mean, what did they do after the big flu pandemic? Like, we have no idea. So this is a whole new thing for us to experience, and we're experiencing it as a collective, where a lot of us are just very unsure on how to handle this. So I think if you just are kinder to yourself and like understand that it's okay to feel anxious about this, it's okay to feel unsure, but know that like you are vaccinated. And I know when it comes to sex that it sounds like you would wear a condom and you would be safe. And so
two condoms. Why
Wear
not?
two.
Yeah, you never know. Wells is word two, right? Wells?
No, the friction makes them break.
Oh, okay. Just one then. Don't wear two
don't
because
wear two condoms.
Yeah. Sorry. Go ahead, Dr. Bexxx.
That's okay. Tim, I feel like you are going to do all the right things, but first and foremost, you just need to be kinder to yourself and to be aware of your anxiety and know that it's okay to feel anxious about this, and try not to put pressure on yourself to like go out there and jump right in, because again, like, it's whatever you're comfortable with, and there's no right way to do this. We are living in a time where this is the first time we've gone through this, so we don't know what to do.
Got it. Tim, do you have you ever do you take any anti-anxiety medication? Have you thought about that, or is that something that you're interested in, or?
I'm like wary about that because like sometimes you take that stuff and you have problems, if you know what I mean, and then that just causes more anxiety, and then you got to take more medication, and it's just like a cycle, you know. So I'm like, yeah, I get it. Hey, if it works for someone, that's fine. But it's like you got to be careful not to have it be like a kind of a vicious circle.
Yeah, no, I agree with that. Diane and I both get anxiety, and we are strongly, we don't like to take any type of anxiety medication.
But, I meditate and I work out a lot.
What kind of herbs do you take for supplements?
Kava is good for anxiety.
Yeah. Kava. What about St. John's wort, or is that more
St. John? That's depression.
Depression, yeah.
I work for anxiety too, though.
Yeah.
I take that too.
Yeah, and you can get all your supplements and vitamins at Super Spectrum Vitamins. Superspectrum.com. They're the vitamin people, locally, family owned and operated. Super Spectrum.
Oh, that's good. Family owned and operated. That's like really good. It's not like a big conglomerate.
All female business there.
Oh, that's good.
Yeah. Yeah. So, Dr. Bexxx, do you recommend anti-anxiety, or you're not? Of course, you're not a psychiatrist, so there's that's not your field. But what do you tell your patients who are dealing with extreme anxiety? Do you sway them to the anti-anxieties, or do you say no?
Well, no, I'm open to whatever's best for the patient, and it depends from patient to patient. But first and foremost, and especially with Tim, you might benefit from CBT, which is cognitive behavioral therapy.
Oh, I thought you said CBD, which would help as well. So
that would also probably help.
Yeah.
But CBT with a therapist, they will help you, and it's short-term therapy, and they will help you to just be aware of the thoughts that are making you anxious and try to rewrite that story for yourself. And one thing that you can do now is maybe for the next week, whenever you have an anxious thought, just write it down and just be aware that it's there. And once you write it down, you kind of give yourself the opportunity to let go of it, because you've written it down. You know that it exists somewhere in your brain, but it doesn't need to take over your thoughts and become completely everything you think about. So there's other skills too, and other tools that you can use that could help lessen your anxiety and help you just kind of like know that it exists, but also know that you are bigger than your anxiety.
That's some good advice.
That sounds like a really good plan.
Yeah. So Wells actually has done a lot of dating since the post-pandemic and also during the pandemic for online stuff. Wells, what would you recommend to Tim to get back out into the dating world if he overcomes some of his anxieties?
I would take baby steps because.
So I don't have to be like naked like you, right?
No, you're building up to this, but this isn't the starting point. I would just meet someone outside for coffee or a walk or something very small, and eventually build up to naked.
What about Tinder? Is that still something that's going on that's really popular, or is Tinder taking like a back seat because of the whole pandemic?
No, I mean, what's happened because there's so many dating apps now is they've gone into like different specialties in terms of what you're looking for, and Tinder is really for hooking up.
Mm-hmm.
If you're on Tinder, the connotation there is hooking up, whereas another app like Bumble, it'd be more like dating that could lead something to something serious.
Are you on any
Yeah.
dating apps there, Tim?
Nah, I don't trust them.
Yeah, it's not. They're not for everyone. So
I mean, it's like, like you get your information out there and anyone can get it. And it's
mm.
just, I mean, it's the same, TikTok, all that stuff. You got to keep your privacy.
Got it. So you're just not into any type of online profile, anything. So.
You don't want to give people too much information about you
Mm-hmm.
just out there,
Well, that's the
It's
thing about like Tinder and Bumble that they limit on how many characters you can put in, and so you really don't have a whole lot to talk about. I mean, you can't put your whole life story in a paragraph. You just have to put a couple sentences that best describes you, and it's real. I mean, the whole joy about going out on that first date is discovering everything, and so you really just put in little snippets, little previews of who you are in that paragraph on that dating profile page there, and then you kind of discover what those things are when you go out on that date. But like Wells was saying, just that first date, if you have a lot of anxiety, just do it for coffee, or maybe even like a social distance kind of coffee, or just maybe like a hike, something outside. Hikes are always easy if it's
like if I
just a
did
walk.
that, should I like put in there, I'm like really anxious about this date,
Yeah,
like in the
maybe.
profile?
I don't know. Usually, if you show that you don't have confidence, it's a big turnoff. Is that correct?
Women smell fear.
Exactly. If you,
So I should like lie.
well, it's not lying. Just don't say that you're anxious and just be confident, and that's gonna get you lots of places in life. It's just confidence.
Mm.
Like I used to work a job where I would wear a business suit and I could just walk into any building, and it just putting that on just gave me confidence, and I could people just think if you walk around and you look good and you're confident, people think that you're somebody important, and they give you what you want. Basically, you walk up and you ask for something, and they give it to you just because you are super confident and you look like you're somebody who's important. So just do what you need to do to make yourself feel confident and powerful, and then explore and go out in the world. I don't know if it's that easy. It's easier said than done, but uh, hopefully that helps. Tim?
Oh, okay. Yeah. I mean, yeah.
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 It's like a lot to take in,
Yeah, it is. Go ahead.
Tim, and I just want to remind you of the baby steps.
Yeah, baby
So,
steps. You don't need to put
Okay,
on
so
a
it
suit
all,
and walk into a bar and decide to, just start hitting on people. Just take it easy. So,
yeah. Are the bars even open?
a limited capacity. There are some bars
Oh.
that are actually open, but we haven't been out to a bar. Wells seems to frequent some places. Wells, what are the bars like right now?
You still can't drink at the bar top,
Hmm.
I
Do they
believe.
make you
So
wear a
they,
shirt there?
yeah, they generally
Oh,
make
that
you
must.
wear a shirt
Well,
there.
Wells is definitely not exactly benefiting from that right now. But yeah. So, but is it limited capacity? Is it full alcohol? Like what's?
Still limited capacity. Still mask on if you're not seated at the table.
Hmm.
Hmm.
So,
June 15th, there should be an announcement. We may be getting rid of social distancing regulations.
and this is for LA County for people who
It's
aren't
for
in
LA
LA right
County.
now.
Actually,
So,
that's for all of
oh,
California.
California. Okay.
Yeah, like
Yeah.
in Texas, they're already like walking around, like doing stuff,
No,
right?
yeah, they've been a lot of
Yeah.
states have been like that for a while now.
Mm.
But Yeah, so it just I would go ahead and just keep an eye on what the local guidelines are. If you have a favorite stomping ground, a bar that you used to go to, a restaurant, or even a Starbucks, just keep an eye on what the atmosphere is and what the
I used to,
requirements are.
yeah, I used to go to this one bar, but it closed before the pandemic.
Well, that's not going to
Yeah,
help you.
they had the best staff at this place, man.
Okay.
So,
Was it a Hooters?
uh, it wasn't a Hooters, although there were
Okay.
some people there who had Hooters experience, and they used that sometimes to kind of, they were class. It was a class tier plate. No offense to Hooters, but
Oh, yeah.
there were people there who kind of they had Hooters experience, so they brought that like a little touch of that in
All right.
sometimes.
So Hooters was on the resume, so they got hired on.
Like you're
Yeah,
hired.
You're
Tim,
hired.
that sounds like a magical place.
Yeah.
Yeah, it really was. It really was.
All right, do you know what this is, Dr. Bex?
No, but
Oh,
I've
okay.
experienced things like this, so
Oh.
I understand.
Yeah.
But Tim, I feel like you can find a place like that again, and
Mm.
no matter what's lifted or not lifted, this is still at your own pace. If you still want to wear your mask, if you still want to social distance, that's completely fine. I feel like there is a lot of anxiety, which is completely normal, and the anxiety's been raised throughout the pandemic. So just know that it's at your own pace, and baby steps are fine, and there's no right way to do this. So you reaching out now is a good step, and like you're aware of it, but you're ready to get out there. And again, you can just go at your own pace.
It's a great advice there. It's a great first step. Hopefully, Tim, that you can gain some confidence there, and that you're able to work at your own pace and have, eventually start having some good sexual relations again if you are venturing into that realm. So, have a good night, Tim. We appreciate you calling in.
Yeah, appreciate you taking the time to talk to me. You guys had some really good advice here.
Good. All right. Well, stay sex positive, my friend. Stay safe out there.
And I'll wear a shirt.
Good. Well, yeah. Hopefully, or not. It's up to you. Just to make sure
You're
that
at
it's
home,
it's
that's
legal.
fine.
Whatever. All right. Have a good night, Tim. All right. So we it's interesting with this whole pandemic closing down. Well, not closing down, but like Diane and I, we still are just comfortable doing the same thing that we've been doing for the last, year and a half, which is basically just staying home and having a lot of sex. But eventually we'll start getting out and doing the same things that we were. But it's just we're such in a rhythm now, and we're enjoying ourselves. So it's just like, what's the rush? It's like I'm sure we'll get that itch when everybody else is doing stuff. But I don't know how do you guys feel about that?
I think I'm in the same boat as you guys. I mean, when the pandemic first hit, I was like, I didn't like it, and then I kind of liked it because I was like, oh, good, now it's time to relax and reset. And then after a year, it's like, oh God, we're still doing this. And now all of a sudden, people are getting vaccinated and things are opening up. But I still, I don't trust people completely. Like I still, not everyone's going to get vaccinated, and that's fine. It's your own personal decision. But you don't know who, you don't know who's out there. So I feel like I still have a little bit of like caution, and like I've gone to a couple restaurants and sat outside, and I feel like we are lucky to be in Southern California where we can do that. So yeah, I feel I'm still not ready to jump back into it. I like being home.
Yeah. It's just like it's weird. Like I had a little bit of FOMO when I saw some of the other couples that we are follow when they're going and having these sex parties, and like we're not there. I feel like we're missing out. But now that since the pandemic, now everyone's missing out. That FOMO is completely gone. Is that something that you've seen with some of your clients there, Dr. Bexxx, for just the fear of missing out is just basically gone now, or?
Yeah, and a lot of my clients who have social anxiety, like when the pandemic hit, this was a relief for them.
Yeah.
Because now they didn't have to feel the pressure to go out to the parties or to see people or have those conversations. So yeah, the FOMO definitely lifted for a lot of people. And unfortunately it replaced, that anxiety with other anxiety, but still it's still a different anxiety, and some other anxieties can be tackled easier than social anxiety.
Well, we got some questions from the internet that I would like to go ahead and go over here. So we got a question from Phil E from Philly. My girlfriend wants me to go down on her, but I've never done it, and I'm not sure what to do. Can you help? So, pretty basic stuff there. I'll go ahead and take it with this one, Phil E., if you are watching. So, you can't rush into this. You can't just pull down her pants and start licking away. It's a very slow process where you gotta warm up your partner. She's got to be in the mood. A vagina does not work like a penis where you can just start. I think I might be horny. I'm just gonna go ahead and grab it and start jerking, and then I will go ahead and finish in 3 minutes. So with a vagina, you have to slowly caress the woman. You have to make her feel comfortable. You have to relax her. I like to just a soft, the back of the hand with the fingers, the fingernails right there. Caress the whole body. Kiss on the face and the neck, and work your way down. Don't just rip off the pants. Also, you have to tease her. You have to make her want you to start licking down there. So you have to start kissing her inner thighs, kissing on top of her pants, over her genitals, and then slowly pull off her pants, and then go ahead and still kiss around. And this is a process that takes maybe about 5 minutes or so, 5 to 10 minutes before you actually start getting on tongue on vulva. So, and also when you start licking it, so you gotta know that vaginas, they actually will engorge with blood with the amount of when a woman becomes turned on. And so the clitoris is actually very large. Everybody sees it as just the little guy right on top of the labia, but it actually extends these arms and these bulbs that go around the vulva. So you have to stimulate all of that before you just start going head on to the clitoris. So it's I like to do slow licks up and down. And then you also have to make eye contact, engage if your partner's enjoying this. If she's making a face that's like, ugh, then you want to not do whatever you're doing there. If
a lot of it is listening to her, what she's moaning.
If she's moaning,
be in tune with her.
Making some sound effects, you want to, if that means she likes it, and you want to do more of that. And so, You'll notice that the vagina will become more lubricated the more turned on she is. And sometimes if it's not clean, it might taste not so great. But the more that you start looking at that taste will go away. And it will just become her natural taste. The vagina also, the secretions can take on whatever food that she may eat, can influence the taste. But usually, I've never had a bad taste with Diane, at least. So I like to lick the whole thing, and then be in tune with her, and then start just working right on the clitoris, and go up and down. And then you can even start working your way with your fingers inside the G-spot. If you go inside with your fingers, 2 fingers or 1 finger, just depends on what she likes. If there's a little bump right inside once you go inside of the vagina, and behind that bump is it's kind of rigid. That is what's known as the G-spot. It's not there for every female, but you can try and work that area. Just a slow come hither motion there. That can also turn her on, and she may climax, she may not. It depends on every single female. So wow, that was a long-winded
explanation there.
That was a monologue.
Can I simplify it?
No. Unfortunately, oral sex with a woman.
No, let me.
Yes, Wells,
it.
please simplify it. Go for it.
LMNOP.
No, definitely do not do the alphabet. Do not do the alphabet.
LMNOP.
No, do not do.
Those letters are good.
No.
And then spell your name in cursive.
No, definitely.
Gets them every time.
Do no.
Full name in cursive.
Don't. I apologize.
Right. Or you can waste 45 minutes of your life and dig in, or you can get the job done. I'm just telling. talk to Papa Wells here, Philly from Philly.
Can
What
I,
up?
Yes.
Can I simplify it a little bit more?
Please go for it, Dr. Bexxx. What's your take on this?
Every woman is different.
Exactly.
So just ask her what she likes.
Exactly.
Or experiment and see what she likes.
Mm-hmm. So, I was just going on that marathon just of my technique. I've been around Diane for a long time, so I know what she likes. But again, like
it varies.
some women don't even like oral. It's it happens, and that's
just
perfectly
had
normal.
bad oral, or the guy's not into oral,
Or it's something that's traumatic that
At
happened to
least.
them, where they just don't want anything that's a tongue down there. It just depends on the
it's more
female.
vulnerable, I think, than intercourse.
So
Phil, get in there and spell Wells Starnacki in
Yeah.
cursive
definitely do
with
not
your tongue.
do that.
100% of the time, it works.
Okay, I am
What up?
going to move on to our next email question here. Let's see here. Lena Mueller from Dresden, Germany. So my boyfriend, I have to say this in a German accent here.
Mind?
My boyfriend's Johnson loses its erection when he tries to put on the condom.
How does this help it keep it hard?
How do you keep it hard? This is a terrible German
This is
accent.
not good.
Diane, what are your
To keep it hard?
to keep it hard with the to keep a condom on?
Well, you could put it on him himself.
Mm-hmm.
You could put it in your mouth and put it on him.
Mm-hmm.
I would say.
You
could have sex and then put on the condom afterwards if you're good at holding your.
Well, that's also
semen.
something. The point of having a condom with a partner that you don't know is about the STDs. So doing that's a little difficult for.
I was talking about if you're.
If you're a couple and you don't, if you're using the condom as a birth control method, then you can go ahead and use that. If you're good at holding in your orgasm or your semen, you can go ahead and have some sex without the condom on, and then a good spot happens, you go ahead and slip it on, and then your penis is still erect. Does anybody else have any advice there?
I think Diane was right with using your mouth. You know, if you incorporate oral sex into putting the condom on. Another good idea is if it's something to do with the ripping of the paper or the smell or whatever, he could masturbate with a condom so that he's more used to it and not, intimidated by it or turned off by it, because some guys are. So if he were to do, masturbating with it, that might help. But again, Diane, with the mouth, I think that's the best way to do it, is just incorporate it into oral sex.
Yeah, so I mean, are you talking about because Diane's done both, and if you actually put it in your mouth and then put your mouth over the penis shaft while the condom's on, it depends on the condom. It has to be flavored, or the non-oxynol 9, the spermicide lubricant, that's gonna really jack up your mouth and make it numb and stuff. So some condoms taste pretty awful, but I do like it when Diane does give me a blowjob and then slaps on the condom, and that's a good way to do that. Were you referencing actually putting on with your mouth, or just doing what I just mentioned there?
Wait, what you said, and most condoms now don't taste as bad. The spermicide's mostly on the inside, so if you're putting the condom on correctly, it should.
Not upside down? Which is tough. We use some really high quality condoms, and it's hard to figure out which side it is sometimes.
Yeah.
It's like whatever, you start to put it on and it doesn't go down, you're like, well, that's the wrong side, flip it back around.
Right.
But so and also we're a firm believer of not using any type of chemical birth control. So we don't use any pill or I'm trying to remember all was out there. Depo-Provera. We don't use any of that. We just use IUDs. Yeah, that's the term. And that's our choice. And there's nothing wrong with using actual pill form birth control, or the shot, or the patch, or the IUD. It's whatever you feel, if you're a female, what you want to put into your body. I wish there was more male contraceptions out there. I know in India they do have, it's like a vasectomy, but instead of actually snipping your vas deferens, what they do is they inject, it's an epoxy. It's an epoxy plastic that goes on the inside of the vas deferens that coats the inside, so that when sperm goes through the vas deferens is the tube that connects your testicles to the out to your peen, to where your basically your pee hole is. So that coats it with an epoxy, and when the sperm goes through that tunnel, the static electricity just it pulls the sperm apart, and so that you're just shooting blanks when you ejaculate. And it's super effective, also super cheap. One of these vials costs like 17 cents. It's just epoxy plastic that they inject. But because it's so cheap, the pharmaceutical companies here aren't investing in it because it's too cheap. And so like the FDA hasn't approved it. It's just a big nightmare. And it's like, it's something that's super simple and super easy and effective. It's also, they've found that it can also work against the AIDS virus. It does the same thing to the AIDS virus as it does sperm cells. But why don't we have it? I don't know. I mean, the FDA, that was my little rant for right now.
Yeah, no, that's the first I've heard of it. But I
never
also,
heard of this?
I question what male in America would allow, because it's a needle. Is it injected with
It's a needle that basically, I mean, instead of getting your vas deferens cut and get a vasectomy, they're just putting a needle into your vas deferens through your scrotum, and they coat it. It's like, I don't know, if for us, like if we didn't want to have children, that's what I would do. Also, to get rid of, to remove that, I totally forgot about this. To remove it, they just put a saline solution in your vas deferens, and it flushes out all the plastic, and that's it. And then you are not sterile anymore. You can now have children again. It's just like
so it's a one-time thing, and it stays in you until you get it removed.
Yeah, it's like an IUD for men, basically.
I thought guys were having to shoot up their balls every time they wanted to have
No.
It's not gonna happen.
Nobody would do that. They're just like sitting here, just like slapping themselves, like trying to get the vein out, and just like I could just imagine Pulp Fiction.
And I'm picturing them doing it at home before they get it on.
No, it's a surgical procedure. You have to go and see a doctor about.
Yeah, it's pretty invasive, actually.
I get it. I'm on board now. I'm on board.
Yeah.
Okay.
So Wells is looking into it right now, and just to fact check me. So it's like it's a minor surgery. It's an outpatient surgery.
Yeah.
They have to do a local anesthetic to make sure that your testicles don't hurt when they put the needle in and stuff. But it's like just an hour. It's like a quick procedure. But then it's like an IUD though. It's basically. It's not an IUD. There's no chemicals involved. Maybe like a copper IUD. I don't know. But anyways,
there's chemicals involved.
Is there chemical?
It just doesn't.
Well, epoxy.
It just doesn't affect your hormone levels.
Yeah, and so.
Yeah.
I think it's a great alternative, and I feel that there should be more male contraceptives out there. Why should women take all the brute of preventing having children and whatnot? Why? It doesn't make any sense. We're in 2021 right now. Let's come up with some other methods, and this is a super simple method that's out there. But I don't know. Would you get that, Wells?
Probably not.
You wouldn't get that?
Nah.
Nah, I would. I don't know.
You'd get it?
I don't know if there wasn't something down the line where we wanted to have children, which we are. It's in our future. But even if you want to have children down the line, it's just another procedure. You just schedule, and they put some saline solution back in your vas deferens, and then there it goes, and you can have children again. So it's just like, I don't know, it seems like a pretty reasonable alternative to having women's hormones being all over just to put pills in to regulate their hormones. But yeah, now you got something to look into there, Dr. Bexxx, for your husband, right?
Thank you.
Yeah.
Yeah, and 17 cents a pop is great.
It's super cheap. But of course it's what India is pricing it. I don't know if that makes any difference for the exchange rate, but yeah. So it just seems like it's super cheap. But yeah, we're about out of time here, folks. I think we've gone over a lot of topics. If you were to put a capper on the night, one like a sentence long pitch for this episode, what would you say it was, Dr. Bexxx? Put you on the spot.
We're all queer, and that's okay.
We're all queer, and that's okay. I love it. Thank you very much, everybody. Thank you, Wells. Thank you, Dr. Bexxx, and I hope everybody stays very sex positive, and have a good night, everybody.